Well, how's it going, everybody? It's me, DJ Bretley here. And before I get started, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. So today, I'm going to be following up on my video from last week. Last week, I was talking about clubs and how to maintain your residencies and how I got into clubs and all that. This week, I'm going to talk about weddings and how I got to where I am at this point in my career as a wedding DJ. And yeah, so let's just get started with it all. One of the first things I've actually learned about being a wedding DJ is it's not about us as DJs. It's about the couple who has invited us to be a part of their day. We are celebrating that couple, not us, not anybody else in the wedding, unless we're told to. But we are celebrating that couple. And the only thing that really comes out of us as a DJ is 3 to 4 hours of the entire reception for the dance. That's when our mixing skills and our true skill set as a DJ comes into play. So the first thing I'm going to say is cast your ego aside. As a wedding DJ, there is no place for your ego. It has no use for you in the wedding aspect when you're on site DJing a wedding. Perhaps a little bit in the sales process, along with your conversations with the couple, your ego may come into play because you do know certain things. But when it comes to being on site the day of, it's not about you. All right. The next thing that really tutored me along was DJ conferences. And I went to my first DJ conference in 2020, I want to say, or 2021. I'm not sure anymore. But it was Midwest DJs Live. And because of Midwest DJs Live, it didn't give me every answer I was looking for, but in turn, it gave me the networking the networked resources, along with the basics of where to get started for each aspect I needed to fine-tune in my DJ career. Now, with Midwest DJs Live, I was introduced to one of my mentors and the person who's given me the best pointers on being an MC, I should say master of ceremonies, not MC. That's just the abbreviation. Because as a DJ, you are the master of the ceremonies around you. You are all-knowing and you handle them. You can control them from their timing to how long it takes to get them done. The whole kit and caboodle. You are the master of ceremonies. And Mitch Taylor, actually, if you ever get a chance, check out his site, Tailored Events or Tailored Weddings. He's based out of the UP, but he speaks at a lot of the DJ conferences and offers coaching for MC work, or public speaking work would be a better way to put it. And when he got a hold of me, my public speaking isn't necessarily where he likes it to be, but he made me think about every aspect that I take on in speaking at the wedding. So when I honed in on the aspects I needed to work on, I never quite understood. It took me 4 years to comprehend what he said about being my authentic true self when I'm speaking at a wedding. I didn't quite get it. And then one day it all just clicked. And from that moment on, it really did change how I speak to people at a wedding. So there was that. But Midwest DJs Live, as I was saying, also introduced me to another DJ who I'd known on social media, Corey from Yo DJ. And the two of them have been my biggest help because I went to Midwest DJs Live. Now, with Midwest DJs Live, it put a lot of the resources I needed to look into to better myself and better what I'm doing. So one of the biggest key points for Midwest DJs Live in the educational aspect, along with Mobile Entertainment Expo, was getting to see a speaker, Alan Berg. And he is kind of the sales guru, if you will, of weddings. If you haven't checked him out, please do. He'll, by far, at least give you some space in your head to think about what you're doing. But watching his videos, paying attention to his seminars, I learned a lot about how I market my DJ self to couples. And if you've noticed how I market myself, I am a club DJ who DJs at weddings as well. So that's what you're getting when you get with me. It might seem very one-trick pony-ish, but at the same time, as I'll get when I get further into this, you will understand why I do that. So I received all this great education and the start of avenues to pursue to better what I do. And that's the biggest takeaway from going to any DJ conference or any wedding-based conference you go to is not what necessarily what you learn on spot, although it's definitely a great idea to make sure you're paying very close attention and make notes. Catalina Block was another one about photo booths. And I learned a lot from her 45-minute seminar, which I still apply today with my photo booth as an add-on to the wedding business DJ thing. So every one of the people speaking at seminars has something to offer. You just have to be willing to, like I was saying earlier, cast your ego aside and be willing to take it all in. And good or bad, you may wind up changing how you do things, and it will probably be for the better because you're looking to improve and take the lessons you learn from the conferences and your coaches or mentors and apply them. And which goes into the next thing, applying what I've learned. I've been fortunate enough from all of this to look at other speakers online and explore YouTube as well as other DJ groups on Facebook and social media platforms to learn more, to get better ideas of how I'm setting up, to better use of the space that I get when I do arrive at a venue. There's a whole plethora of knowledge I was, given by going to these conferences. So you're going to get some of it back today too. But yeah, one of the biggest things I learned as we go further into it is about pricing and knowing your budget, knowing how much it costs you to walk out the door and what you should be charging, knowing your value. Now, do I secret shop every wedding DJ in my market? Yes, at least once or twice a year. Just so I can see where I come in compared to them, even though we may not be offering the same things. I want to get a headspace for what they're doing just as much as I'm getting a space for what I'm doing. Now, hand in hand with that, knowing your own value, knowing what you offer to your couples. Is it the same as every $500 to $800 DJ out there, or do you offer something better? And with that, are you willing to be better and change your pricing to reflect that? Mitch and Corey both really gave me a good conversation about pricing, and Mitch Taylor is actually the one who got me to basically where I was 5 years ago, double my prices. And now I do raise my prices accordingly based on the cost of living, along with feeling out other vendors in my market, but I'm not really as concerned with them anymore. I know what I provide to couples, being the sense of security, great dance floors, great customer service. But I'll get to all that in a moment. But knowing what your value is what you should price yourself for. Not just because the other DJ prices themselves at $800. There's a whole plethora of factors that go into your pricing that would be different from theirs. Are they full-time? Are they part-time? Are they those weekend warrior types that aren't very great, get moderate reviews at best, and are price-driven? Or do you want to work with your couples and rather than be price-driven, be result-driven? Show your reviews. Show pictures of the work you've done, videos, YouTube, anything you can get so couples can see what you actually do will take you away from being a price-driven DJ. Because as we see, price isn't always the winner with a lot of weddings. More often than not, we're seeing the lower-priced DJs get terrible reviews, not showing up, and a plethora of other issues. From not playing songs to missing requests to not, playing the right songs at the right time. So, when you know what your value is and what you bring to the table, price accordingly. Which brings me to the next point, why couples are willing to spend more for a DJ like myself and skip out on booking the price-based DJs. Because I offer something different. I mean, obviously my equipment is very different than the $500 to $1,000 DJ, which I may be dogging on here. So what? Too bad. Big problem. I don't care. But the equipment I'm using for starters, at my DJ booth and what I'm using, it runs $10,000 to $15,000 a gig minimum. The average part-timer, budget DJ, their gear may cost $3,000 or $4,000 and probably doesn't sound that great. Again, sound being relative, but I take a lot of time and effort to make sure my equipment sounds good and it does exactly what it's supposed to do when I need it to. So the whole equipment thing is one aspect of it. Now, customer service. And this starts from the moment of your first conversation with any couple. You need to listen, find out exactly what they're looking for. Because with pricing and in education, I've learned that every couple is not the right couple for me. So I'm as picky as a couple is about spending $2,000 and up on a DJ in my market. I am picky about who I will DJ for because I don't want to, pick up a wedding that I can't do right by. Now, most of the couples that are looking to invite me to be their DJ are between the ages of 23 and 35 and looking for a little bit more of a rager or wilder reception, similar that you'd find in a college party bar. And because I DJ in a lot of college party bars and nightclubs, that's my MO outside of weddings. So it translates great to what the couples that I'm actively seeking want at their receptions. Now, the next thing when I say customer service, I use a CRM. So throughout the booking, throughout the timeline of when they invite me to be their DJ until the day of, I have my CRM program to send out reminders, ask questions intermittently. So 6 months after they've booked me to be their DJ, I'll just send an email, hey, checking in. How's everything going? Do you need any referrals? It helps build a sense of confidence in the couples that invite you to be a part of their day. And you want them to feel that confidence and so they feel great about having you as their DJ. Because you don't do what everybody else does. You do you. And what you offer is going to be different from each and every DJ, albeit similar. Every one of us DJs has a different way we approach handling weddings. So I'm going to go back to my CRM, and I utilize it for every aspect post-booked. And, from proposal to sending out reminders to asking questions for billing. And I will send out other things, like when I run a special on my photo booth for, I bought the photo booth so my daughter could have some extra work, and it's worked out great for the both of us. But I'll send out deals on that. One I actually do is send out a link to my Spotify page. Because if couples haven't completed their music forms, and I ask this 6 months prior to their day, that if they haven't, here, check out my Spotify page. It has all of my active crates that I use as a wedding DJ for specific parts of a day. So if they're looking for first dance songs, father-daughter, mother-son, anniversary, or reception ideas, they can go to my Spotify channel and they can get a better idea of the music that I use, along with get ideas for what they would want out of my collection. So those are some of the bigger things I do. Now, the day of, my customer service, I've been told, is second to none. And that is because in addition to holding my couple's hands throughout the booking and planning process, the day of, I get to a venue 3 to 4 hours before I have to start playing music. And there's a reason for that. I want to have time to sound check in with the venue, and I'm going to talk about venues in a moment. Check in with my couple, say hi, just, hey, I'm here. Good to see you. Let's have a great day. And then check in with all the other vendors I'm working with to make sure we're all on the same page, even though, I'll get to that in a moment, I've checked in with them a week prior to the day of, if not further. So, hand in hand with all of that, customer service, holding your couple's hands, and just being a super down-to-earth, authentic you as a DJ when you are at a wedding. Now, yes, I am different in a club than I am at a wedding. I'm definitely more formal and embrace all the formalities and traditions that a wedding has to offer. Because as Mitch Taylor put it to me, and the class we were in, we are the masters of ceremonies. We need to know what the ceremony of that, or what the part of the day is, that ceremony, being it cake cutting, and its tradition, why it's important, why we do it. So I took it upon myself after a session with Mitch to look up why we do the cake cutting. Why do people smear cake on themselves, on each other's faces? What's with the garter toss? What's with, a bouquet toss? And all of these little aspects are ceremonies within the whole day. When you know them inside and out, why you're doing them and all of that, it only makes what you offer to your couples better. So now you can present to them everything they want in a neat, concise, professional manner. And that's one of the biggest things couples look for me. They know, they look at my reviews. And when couples are looking for DJs, work your Google page. I cannot stress that enough. And Alan Berg is the one who keyed me in on the SEO portion of this as I move forward into working my reviews. I will ask every couple I've DJ'd for via my CRM for a review. And Alan says, just like in the sales process, don't quit asking until you get an answer, good or bad. Same with my reviews. I will send, I do stop after a fourth email. Once I've sent 4 and you haven't replied to me, cool, we're done. However, the couples I'm asking are all the couples that are like, oh, I'll give you a review. This is the best day ever. Be diligent. Follow up with all of your couples. After the 4th one, maybe back off. But I've got almost 100 5-star reviews on Google right now. And these are all from couples I've DJ'd for and done right by. And that's the biggest thing as we approach the SEO portion of all of this, that you do need to have your Google page working properly. So go through all the processes of it. And if you see reviews get taken down ever, contact Google. They will restore them. There are a few YouTube videos on how to get your reviews back. And it's real easy. It takes a couple weeks. So I touched on this earlier, my brand and how I market myself. I'm a club DJ, club and pub. I've been DJing clubs and pubs since the late 80s when I started at Medusa's. So that's my main scope of things. Had I done weddings during the 80s, 90s, and 2000s? Yes, but not in the scope I'm doing them now. Weddings were an afterthought. I never really wanted to be a wedding DJ because of the stigma from wedding singers and the cheesy BS of like John Lovitz and the Wedding Singer. Prime example of why I never wanted to be involved in weddings. In fact, when I went to work for a wedding company before I went on my own in 2017, I found every reason I hated weddings from this company. And my last wedding for the company was for a fellow wedding vendor, and her wedding was amazing, absolutely amazing. And we talked about it, and at the end of the wedding, she's like, you can't quit. Because I was hell-bent on giving up weddings on that day. However, the day after that, or a couple weeks after that, were some wedding expos. So I was a little inappropriate, stole the expo lists from my boss's computer at his house when I was working for him, and then fully decided to go on my own. And by I will say March of 2018, I had booked out a whole crap ton of weddings. My schedule was pretty much full for clubs and weddings for 2018. And by early 2019, I was getting inquiries for 2020 and 2021. So I was on the right path. But I've always marketed myself as a club DJ. So I'm going to bring the club kind of party to your wedding if that's what you want. And because I DJ a variety of clubs, college party bar, EDM and EDM dance nightclubs, and some outskirt party bar like towny bars, I can bring any different format to your wedding reception. And a lot of couples in recent years have been all like, do what you do at the college club or do what you do at the EDM club, but give us some dubstep late. And if you look at some videos on my YouTube channel, you will see some pretty badass dubstep sets in my weddings. So that's how I've marketed myself. And it's taken getting the good reviews, continually posting on social media, and mixing up my posts. Yeah, you see sale posts on my social media. You see club posters on my social media. You see party nights from the club in my pics. And one thing that works great for me, but it may not be great for you, is using obnoxious memes. I use memes that may call out other DJs who have given me a hard time, and I don't care. I kind of have fun doing it at times because I know they're watching and it drives them up a wall. But using all of your social media tools to market to the target demographic you want as a DJ. Now, I know what my target demographic is, 23 to 35, who's still young and like to have a good time. So if you look at my YouTube channel, that's about all I DJ for. Yes, you've seen some older couples on there, but my strongest suit is just that, clubs and pub kind of wedding. And so I branded myself and did all my social media marketing to accommodate just for that. And it's worked. I am now booking 2028, and it is the end of 2025. And because of how all the back end work I've done, from marketing to proving myself to education, I'm in demand. Couples are seeking me out 3 years out and more sometimes. And then there's one final big piece of this puzzle that has gotten me to this point, and that's venues and vendors I work with. First, I will cover venues. I'm on the preferred list at like 25 different wedding venues in my area, and it's because I do as the venue asks. I will now, a week before any wedding, and this is for every vendor I work with, I touch base. I send them an email. I give them a phone call to make sure we're on the same page. So for the venue, I just like, hey, do you have me setting up in the same spot I'm usually at? Anything I need to know from you about the day that's different? Then when it comes to other vendors, I will do the same thing. So for example, a videographer. Videographers, there are so many different adapters, gizmos, gadgets, and plugins that they could possibly need coming from my DJ setup for audio for their recording signals. I touch base to find out what they need and let them know what I'm working with. So when they show up, we're not doing this scramble, do I have it? No. Here's where you're plugging in. Here's what I've got for you. And it saves a lot of time and headache. With photographers, I will just make sure how they want my DJ light set during the important dances. 99.9% of the time, turn them off or all white. I opt to turn them off so it doesn't take away from what is going on and the dance floor. And that is the couple's first dance together or their parent dances. And that's a moment that they want to share with everybody. Master of Ceremonies education. But it's not something we should be drowning in lights. It's an intimate, special moment. And handling these moments with kid gloves is another part of why venues love bringing me in and put me on their list. Because I take great care in every aspect of a couple's day when I am the DJ. Now, outside of my customer service and making sure I am working hand in hand with the venue and the venue coordinator, I create the celebrations my couples want. Again, goes back to the sales process of finding the right couple for me to DJ for. So it's easy and not trying to put a square peg in a round hole. I know what they want. We've talked about it. We've covered it. And I'm going to create just that. And if you look at my YouTube channel or my social media pages, all of my weddings usually one last year didn't, and there was a reason for it. The wedding was official wedding, but all of the background was for show and social media because the bride is a blogger and a social media content creator. So this wedding was very, no one really was meant to dance. It was for certain key photographic and videographic moments. That was it. But all my other wedding receptions are all ragers. My dance floors always pop. And that's because I've had the education to know to ask my couples what they're looking for, what their expectations are, and what they want from me. Again, this also goes back to earlier education about being the master of ceremonies. As long as you know every event taking place in the course of the timeline for the day, you're well prepared, and doing that hand in hand with every vendor you work with. So when it comes to doing, like, for example, we will just start with the grand entrance of a couple into a Midwestern wedding. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to check with my venue manager and make sure she's ready for me to do that. They're going to check with catering to make sure catering is set up and good to go before I do the entrance. The next thing I do, I check with my photographer and videographer. And if I have a content creator, them too, to make sure they're ready to capture the images and video they need. Then I will go check in with my couple and the wedding party, get them all lined up. And at that moment, when I've lined them up for entrance, I will stop with the couple, review how to use a microphone with them and their wedding party, and make sure the whole entrance list is correct, make sure everybody using a microphone after the entrance is correct, and check if anything has changed for the rest of their day after that point. Because COVID in 2020 taught us something. Check everything twice before you get there and the day of. So I will do that, then we will do the entrance. So every aspect of the day, I check in with each vendor to make sure they're good to go. The combination of doing all of that, along with my preemptive contacts with vendors, got me on the venue preferred lists, along with 90% of the vendors I work with regularly, always referring me. Additionally, if you look at the Facebook groups, all of my past couples, if they're on certain groups, are always referring me. I see them come up constantly saying, DJ Brettley. And that's because I did what they wanted. And as a DJ, keep that in mind. Make sure you do what your couples are looking for and what they want at their wedding. So, that's been almost a half an hour. I'm going to call this quits here. I hope you all enjoyed this conversation with me, or this monologue with me. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Hopefully you got something out of it. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and have a great day.